Hello, we're back again in hell. We're about to start Canto 5. Perhaps the most the most memorable canto of Inferno, um, the episode of Paolo and Francesca, two lovers. This is the second circle of hell. The first one is limbo. And so what we're going to go through successively then is each circle of hell is going to be dedicated to a different sin. And the people that you find in each circle are not those who are guilty of those sins. Well, everybody has been guilty of those sins who's in those circles, but that's not what gets them there, right? Many people in heaven were guilty of those sins too. What's the difference? These are those who could not or would not repent, and that's what is sad about Paolo and Francesco. Um, so this is the first place of real punishment. The limbo is the easiest room in hell, the vestibule of hell, so to speak. But this is the first place of real punishment, and uh, the first sin of incontinence, unable to hold back. Um, the first thing he sees is Minos. We are told in classical mythology that Minos, the king of Crete, when he dies, he becomes a judge in the underworld. Um, and so he learns, Dante learns line 37. I learned that to this place of punishment all those who sin in lust have been condemned, those who make reason slave to appetite. Okay, reason is supposed to modify that sin or that impulse. Not that, of course, everyone in this understanding has it, but but reason is there to modify those, and those who cannot modify their lusts by reason then are punished in this circle of hell. We have a whirlwind here because that's what lust is. It's a kind of a whirlwind that overpowers one. Um, and so we see all of the forms of the famous sinners of passion, Semiramis, historical figure, and then Dido. We remember Dido from the Aeneid, and she is there. Cleopatra from history, Helen from myth, from the Trojan War. Um, but Dante is interested in two particular lovers, Paolo and Francesca, and Francesca tells her story about about a dalliance with Paolo, whereby this is a kind of a condemnation of pornography because they're reading this tale of illicit love, kind of the literature, the kind of poetry, in fact, part of Dante's reason for the Paolo and Francesca episode is that before he started drifting toward the dolce stil nuovo, the notion um, that love makes us better people, elevates us. He's more into the passionate love, the erotic love of the troubadour tradition, and it's that kind of literature. We see the baleful influence of that literature itself because um, Paolo and Francesco. It's not that the literature makes them um, uh, adulterers, but that it fuels the flames. It fuels their passion, and they read the passionate entries to each other. And this is the way he describes it, line 100 and following. Love, quick to kindle in the gentle heart, seized this one for the beauty of my body, torn from me. How it happened still offends me. It was torn from her in death because uh, they were they were caught. Um, When those offended souls had told their story, I bowed my head and kept it bowed until the poet said, "What are you thinking of?" That's line 111. Unless it's Roman numeral 3. No, these are Arabic. 111. Okay. When finally I spoke, I sighed. So the sigh shows Dante has sympathy for these lovers. Alas, all those sweet thoughts, and oh, how much desiring brought these two down into this agony. And then I turned to them and tried to speak. I said, "Francesca, the torment that you suffer brings painful tears of pity to my eyes. But tell me, in that time of your sweet sighing, how and by what signs did love allow you to recognize your dubious desires?" And she to me, "There is no greater pain than to remember in our present grief past happiness, as well your teacher knows." Virgil can tell you that there's no greater pain than that. And so then she tells the story of reading this. One day we read to pass the time away, per delitto, she says, just for kicks, although delitto is related to our word delectable, so it definitely has an element of the sense of taste, of passion, of sensuality. That's what I was the word I was looking for. Um, that day we read no further is the famous last line. So they throw the book away. And so this is Dante's. Dante, of course, is himself not pornographic here. He is not going to. He's going to be very discreet, pull the curtain over the scene, and so this is a form of meiosis, as the Greeks called it, understatement. That day we read no more. So they turned. I guess somebody just turned the pages of my book too, because it never flops open to where I want it. Okay, so that's what everybody remembers about Canto uh, 5, um, the Paolo and Francesca. Um, Canto 6 begins the third circle of gluttony, and this will take us to the end of what we need to do on Monday. Dante awakes in the third circle. He's in rain and snow, and he sees the three-headed dog Cerberus, and he is now in the circle of gluttony. Another sin of incontinence, it is simply another form of, you could think of them as two forms of the same thing, lust, being unable to rein in the sexual appetite, gluttony, being unable to rein in um, the appetite for food, um, and or placing that in a higher importance than anything else. Um, the reason that Cerberus becomes an image of this is because, well, he is a guardian of the underworld. In classical mythology, he acts like a playful puppy when you first come down, and then you try to leave, and he becomes the ferocious, three-headed beast that he is. Um, and Virgil wrote about, if you remember this detail, we didn't talk about it in class, but if you remember this detail from Canto 6, I'm I'm into Dante now, so I say Canto. Book 6 um, of the Aeneid, uh, uh, Virgil has or I'm sorry, Aeneas has a sop, bread soaked in wine or a honey cake. I'd forgotten exactly what it was for Cerberus. So you throw it to Cerberus to get his attention away from you, and then you get by. But Virgil this time quiets Cerberus with just a mouthful of mud because so it's a degrading from that image. One of the gluttons hails Dante, and he happens to be a Florentine from his own city of Firenze. Line 49, he says, "Your own city, so filled with envy," the envy of Siena. In the introduction, we talked about uh, Firenze vying with Siena for supremacy in the Tuscan region. "Its cup already overflows the brim, once held me in the brighter life above." So it's a friend of Dante's named Ciacco, and Dante is able to tell him about the future of Florence. He tells of a reversal to come, the exile of Dante's white party among um, the Guelphs. Um, and Dante's emotional response to Chaco is the same as his emotional response to Paolo and Francesca. It is pity. Chaco, I said to him, line 58, your grievous state weighs down on me. It makes me want to weep. But tell me what will happen if you know to the citizens of that divided state. And are there any honest men among them? And tell me, why is it so plagued with strife? And he replied, after much contention they will come to bloodshed. The rustic party will drive out the other. The rustic party are the Cerci, those who had come from the country. But they were part of Dante's party, the white ones. The other would be the black um, Guelphs. Uh, Chaco asks Dante to speak well of him on his return as soon as he understands that Dante is from the outside world. That'll be unheard of. I mean, most of the people in hell assume Dante will never go back because no human comes into hell and then leaves. So Chaco says, "Speak well of me to my friends." Line 88. But when you are once more in this sweet world, the land of the living, I beg you. This is line 88. I did say that. I beg you to remind our friends of me. I speak no more. No more I answer you. And so he goes back down. We'll see this pattern throughout the not only the Inferno but the other two cantiche also. Um, we'll see people very fleetingly, especially compared to the epics that we read, where we had a continuity throughout the story of characters. But not so here. Somebody will pop up and then go back down and say nothing. Um, Dante is seeing an increasing uh, painfulness of the sufferings. Is this likely to increase? He asks. Master, will these torments be increased or lessened on the final judgment day? Um, Virgil's answer, line 106. Remember your philosophy. The closer a thing comes to perfection, the more keen will be its pleasure or its pain. Okay, so that will lead us to the fourth circle, but that is for another time. So thank you for your patience. We'll be moving on to Canto 7. Thank you for joining us in hell. God bless you.